Hey everybody, it's Matthew Mitchell again. I'm truly grateful to be here again to continue on the previous topic of debt. This time I will be focusing more on debt repayment as well as finding ways to reduce and eventually eliminate debt altogether. To begin with, I wanted to share with you a very simple document that millions have actually used in order to get rid of their own debts, and it's the Dave Ramsey Debt Snowball. To begin with, it gives you a series of instructions on now it's time to knock out that debt. List your debts in order from the smallest balance to the largest. Don't be concerned with interest rates unless two debts have a similar payoff balance. In that case, list the one with the higher interest rate first as you eliminate debts. You'll start to build some momentum, some serious momentum. These quick wins will keep you motivated so you'll be able to stay on track. And it just continues to go down. And they want you to put this on a wallpaper in your bathroom. They want you to put it everywhere so that you've got that mental checklist. Every single day you're going to get up, you're going to look at your debt repayment schedule, so you're going to faithfully stay on top of it. So here you won't see any writings of any kind. You can, the first thing most people put down is their credit card amount. So I have a credit card amount of several $100s. So I would put down my MasterCard right here. My total payoff would be in the hundreds, and then my minimum payment would be $44. And then depending on when I put down all of my list, which ones I want to put down first, I have another debt, which is an unsecured loan debt of several $1,000s. And I would put that down there on this particular line, the total payoff in the thousands. And my minimum payment is between $100 to $200 a month. So I would put these two main debts down. Those are the two ones that I have with a payment schedule. And I have at this time decided not to increase my monthly payments. I am going to be focusing more on savings instead of trying to pay down loans. That is another big portion of the discussion, which is saving 10% of your wealth. Many of the financial books, there's one that said the richest man in Babylon. And at the time, I never truly got into wanting to read it. I thought it was an older book, old-fashioned. It didn't stay true to the new times. And boy, was I wrong about that. The first objective lesson that the richest man in Babylon teaches you is to save 10% of your wealth. I'm going to use my fingers. So you have 10 copper coins. The first thing you do is you put one of your copper coins away. This is not to be used for any living expenses at all. It is used solely for you to earn more money. In essence, to build assets. It's supposed to build wealth, not to pay down living expenses, debt, so on and so forth. It is to be put away and not touched. Another really good aspect that I also learned from the richest man in Babylon is that you are to only pay 20% of your income to debt. Back in the Babylonian times, they had money lenders. So it was more personable. It was more one-on-one basis. Now we have banks, credit institutions, and large finance companies. But even in today's world, you are able to moderate the amount of debt that you've accumulated. It's called debt refinance. It is a very common terminology. I just found that it is interesting in the book that you are only to spend 2 copper coins of every 10 that you earn towards debt, and then you are to live on 7/10 of your income. Now we pay tithing, so that would be 6/10 of your income. And I have found that that is quite livable. I currently only pay 13% of my income towards debt. I put away 10% of my income every month into a financial vehicle that I have found and deemed wisely to put away, as well as finding other ways, any particular expenditure that can be reduced. Sometimes it can be very hard when you're going through your monthly expenses to figure out which expenses need to stay and which ones need to go. In my own personal life, I have decided to not have a vehicle. I live in Salt Lake City. There is a very reliable public transportation system here that I have found reliable to get me from here to work. And it does require a little bit more planning on my part. My personal opinion, I'm still poorly at planning things. I can usually, however, get to most activities that through the use of friends, Uber, Lyft, and so on and so forth. So there's been a lot of good resources for me to get around having a car, and that would be between $400 to $500 a month that I would be spending. Instead, I only spend $42 a month on transportation, plus an occasional between $20 to $40 in cab fares. I have also no longer shop full retail prices. I buy quite a bit of my stuff actually at the DI. I find that there are some good deals there. You won't get the top of the line, but you will be able to greatly reduce expenditures. And also, I get a lot of my clothes actually from my friends. I had a friend that dropped off multiple clothes, and just being honest with people goes a long way in that regard. I don't believe that people are going to get offended if you tell them you don't have a lot of money. In fact, that's a very good catalyst, because in the future, when they are downsizing their wardrobes or they're trying to get rid of something, you're the first person they're going to give a call and say, hey, I've got this, would you like it? I've gotten a free couch. I've gotten a free bike. I've got a lot of things for free since I've been down here in Salt Lake City. So that's one way that I've been able to reduce my expenditures so that I don't need to necessitate borrowing money. And I believe that overall, one of the biggest things, I mentioned this in my last video, that you have to live a certain lifestyle that's not conducive of borrowing money. This can be the biggest and hardest mind shift of all, especially if you grew up in a household, or if you grew up in a lifestyle that previously is conducive to borrowing money. And especially if you're young and you're living on your own for the first time. I just moved out about a year and a half ago. You're not going to be nearly as wealthy, or you're not going to have nearly as much money as you did when you were living at home with mom and dad. So you have to find a lifestyle that is conducive to living within your means, and preferably at all costs live below your means. And the best way to do that is actually to save 10% of your wealth. You put away 10%, you put it into account. A 401k account is really good, a Roth IRA account. They're all very good. Any account that doesn't allow you to have access to that money, I believe, in my own personal opinion, that is the best way to go, because you won't have the temptation of spending money on something that you don't necessarily need. You may want it, but you don't need it. There's a huge difference between wants and needs. A need is something you must absolutely have. This is a necessity. Food is a necessity. Clothes are a necessity. Cooking utensils are a necessity, but there are quite a few things that you can actually get around that you don't really need. You can honestly almost fit everything that you need into two carry-on bags and move. And the only thing you need on top of that is a bed and a mattress when you move somewhere. So I believe that there are many strategies out there that can be implemented in order to reducing debt. I believe that the most important fact of striving to live a debt-free lifestyle is your mindset and also your comfortability and not trying to personify that you have wealth. You don't really, in my personal opinion, I do not believe that you need to be driving a nice car. I don't even at this time believe that I need to drive a car at all. I go to church. Most of the people in my ward, they drive vehicles and I don't drive one. So